Hello and welcome back to Two Andrews, One Barbell, episode 25. I am your host, Andrew Blackwood.
And I'm Andrew Rowe, the hostess,
The
hostess.
co-host.
A few things to preface.
Yep.
Firstly, I'm just on the back end of a flu. So if a coughing fit ensues, we're not good enough to edit it out. So just skip 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Two, Andrew brought over a Christmas present for me.
You have to explain it so that they can appreciate.
It was a
true
pure
value.
black mug.
Yeah.
Pour boiling water in, and it
transforms
reveals
this lovely message.
the message that he wanted to tell me.
You got to go on the YouTube. If you just listen to Spotify, you got to go onto the YouTube
I'm
to
in
figure
full
it out.
support of this.
Yeah.
Because frankly, it suits our relationship very well. For
Yeah.
the sake of Instagram clips, I'm going to
Yeah.
remove it because
Take that out of the shot.
it's not exactly,
Yeah.
without context, doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So,
Or it does.
so now, what we're doing today
Yes.
is,
It's an idea that I have completely ripped off from Modern Wisdom. No, it's how do we word it? Okay, we're into 2025 now, whatever date
yeah,
it is.
they did it
50
in
something.
2024. So,
Yeah, exactly. So we are coming up with this ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we're gonna somewhat recap 2024, but just doing a recap is like boring. We did this. No, we don't. Do
you already
that,
know
right?
what we did as well.
Exactly. Exactly. So we are going to compile some of the lessons, the tips, the pieces of advice, the I don't know what else to ideas, concepts in general, just things that we have thought of throughout the year that we think are particularly valuable or insightful. Again, Modern Wisdom did a version of this where
Yeah.
people just hit off the life hacks that they had, or
Yeah.
they just went back and forth, bar for bar, on different pieces of value. So that's the idea that we are going to take today. We're just going to explore some of the hopefully insightful thoughts or things that we've learned. And yeah, we'll see where it takes us. We don't know each other's lists.
I was going to say, admittedly,
Yeah.
we have not cross-referenced here. So these could be extremely wildly different.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they could overlap quite a
Or
bit.
they could be the exact same lists.
Yeah. We could have interpreted this in completely different ways. So like
We may
what?
We very well may have. Judging by my essay.
Yeah, so anyone who can't see, Andrew has his whole MacBook out. Oh my god! Wait. Can we stop this? Can I start? Can I do more research?
No, I was just like typing. As we were talking earlier, you know, and you just like talk to a camera, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So I was just typing to get ideas down. So I do have some, they're real broad.
Yeah.
Really
but
simple.
hopefully that is going to lead to delving into each topic and inspire some
can do that.
conversation around it.
And then any smaller ones as well. I'm interested to see if you have like more specific, literal.
I have little like tidbits.
Okay. Yeah, that is. Yes, you do. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to hit us off?
I can.
Yeah.
Do you have them in any particular order?
I did order them a little bit, but again, they're so like varying in terms of the topics themselves that it's kind of all over the place. And then I have ones that like string into another one and so on and so forth.
Okay. So my lessons, maybe they're not in any particular order other than maybe being broad to narrow.
Okay.
So my first one is so broad
Yeah.
that I'm actually cheesing here before I say it, because we always say it.
Yeah.
But it's something that has been reinforced tenfold in 2024 and my experiences in 2024, and it's now something I live by. Coincidentally, I just listened to a book that Andrew recommended to me, The Four Agreements. I'm sure lots of people have listened to it. It's like, how would you call it? It's like a philosophy book.
Yeah.
Philosophical book. Is it based on a religion or just an
It's
ideology?
like Toltec wisdom. So like ancient South America somewhere philosophy.
Well, it's in English.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but Don Miguel Ruiz, I think, is the guy who wrote it.
There's like 4 rules
Yeah.
in the 4 agreements, and they are simple and broad and applicable. And the reason I like it is no matter your religion, religion background
Yeah.
or your cultural background, they're just applicable to everyone.
Yeah.
And I relate to them quite a lot and I apply them. And one of them is always do your best. And this we started to say this year a lot.
Yeah.
And it's in the book.
Yeah.
And it's one of the lessons that we use in school talks when we go,
Yep.
which we have coming up soon.
Yes.
We had a little
Next
few weeks
week.
hiatus, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait. And I haven't. I think maybe the order I put them in was I put the most important one first.
Okay.
And it's the one that resonated with me the most this year. I literally the first one I have is classic. Like of course I have this down. Like a central premise to every day and everything we do in our lives, and it's kind of infallible. That's what I like about the rule as well.
Yeah.
I had down for a few others. I found myself typing, context dependent or it depends, and there are times when this may be bent or not applied at all because life changes and things come up. There is no situation I can think of where the premise of doing your best doesn't apply, because even in not doing something, you're doing your best to not do something. So would you expand on always do your best?
I would say even just the 4 agreements in general. I would say all of the rules in that are kind of, as you outlined there, they are applicable to like all situations. I would say that's actually in mine as well.
Really?
That do you know what I found myself doing? As I was trying to like draft the thoughts and ideas for this, I went through my screen recordings on my phone, because when I'm listening to a book on Audible, it's playing through and I'll hit a good bit and I'm like, okay, rewind, screen record the book. So I have like snippets of it, and I must have like 200 videos on my phone that are all just little sound bites from the book. And that would have been one of them. I had to try stop myself from doing that though, because the whole list of things here would have just been the sections from the different books that I've been consuming.
That's okay.
But I want us to do like individual podcast episodes where we can fully like flesh out all the different books, because there's so much that we could expand on them all. But always do your best. That is a big one, and that is one that we find ourselves again saying to those like students, the school children, when we're doing those talks. Yeah, I think that's an essential one, and I like that was your number one, like the most important or most valuable for you. Yeah, I double down on that. I agree with it.
For anyone who hasn't listened to us specifically talk about doing your best, obviously it sounds like such a cliche thing. Oh, just do your best. What it really comes from though is obviously as you grow older and grow more critical and concerned with outcome, we get overly concerned about our input and relate it too strong to the output, when if you just take the main criteria of doing your best, and whatever that looks like, that varies over time, days to days, weeks to weeks, months to months. Your best looks different depending on a whole array of contextual factors, that many of which are out of your control. If you can control the one that is in your hands, which is doing your best with whatever you have at your disposal, sometimes that's the best possible performance you could possibly put in. Sometimes you make leaps and bounds of progress in like 1 week and you're like, oh my God, I'm a god. I've typed so much for my college work. I trained perfectly. I lifted PBs all around. I slept on time every single day. I did my best in my relationships, everything like that. Sometimes that happens, and then sometimes your best is just showing up. Sometimes your best is just being there. Sometimes your best is just opening the laptop, putting out a few words, maybe just reading what you have to do. Acknowledging that is so freeing, because it frees you from, I didn't get done the 1,000 words that I got done the 3 days last week. It's like,
did you do your best?
Did you do your best? It's like, oh yeah, my best was 100 words.
Yeah.
I did my best. And so kind of coming up with some acceptance of whatever your best is, as it's volatile, and being okay with that being the limit. Because how could you possibly be mad if you've done your genuine best?
Yeah, it frees you from those like self-judgments and whatnot. And it centers you, again, when it's applicable in all situations. I find with the 4 agreements, almost weekly, I would say, when I'm hit with situations where I'm feeling emotionally perturbed, to reference a word from the last podcast. But when I'm hitting those periods where I'm like struggling with something, there's one of those 4 rules that I can refer to, and it's like it lifts the weight of the world off my shoulders. I'm like, fuck, just do your best. Did I do the best in those given circumstances? Okay, yes. Then I don't need to be beating myself up. I don't need to be so harsh on myself. I do what I can, and then we move forward.
Do you have more of the rules in here? If not, hit them.
With what all of them are?
Yeah, just because there's only
Fucking
4.
forget it now.
Be impeccable with your word.
Be impeccable with your word. Because we'll do we'll do literally
Yeah,
a
we
whole
will.
episode on this
We
because I
will.
love it. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally.
Yeah.
Don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
And always do your best. Okay. I even
So good.
it's like it's been life changing, that book. I'd say that's the number one book that I would recommend to like everyone to go read or listen to. But we'll fully dive into that, and we'll explore all the scenarios where even very recently I had a situation that was like it was getting me jacked up in my head, and then for whatever reason I couldn't make the link of the 4 agreements. It wasn't in my mind, and then I had this like I don't know what it was. It was divine inspiration where it just hit me, and it was don't take things personally and don't make assumptions. And I was like, oh. It was like the weight of the world came off my shoulders, and it totally changed my headspace. So I love that book. I love that book a lot. Will we move on to my first?
Yep.
So this is one that has been very relevant or at the forefront of my mind. A lot of the books that I have consumed lately are around communication. It's around coaching, just dealing with people, human psychology, all of those kind of things. And this is a heuristic, I suppose, that I love. And when I heard it, I was like, that resonates so well with me. I think it's so true. And it's not something that I observe too much. And it would be that great coaching is 80% asking questions and listening, and 20% giving advice. Oh, okay. Deep that for a little second. 80% asking questions and listening to the client, and 20% giving advice. Because I know for myself, I've been in, say, a coach-athlete relationship where it feels as though there's not a whole lot of listening that has happened, and it's just 100% being told what to do. It doesn't even have to be a coach-athlete relationship. It could be any sort of relationship where you just feel you're being talked at and you're not being heard. No one likes that. I don't think there is anyone in the world who that will work for or lead to productive outcomes. And there's more that I expand on here, where oftentimes you can feel, and knowing this as a coach, you feel the need to like be the expert. And what do like experts do? They give advice, they tell people what to do, they give the next actionable steps. But I don't think that is necessarily the most important thing that they should be doing. Because, and this leads into a whole other book that we will definitely have to dive into, and I'm not sure if you have had the chance to get around to it yet, but the concept of motivational interviewing. And this is like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a philosophy or a way of dealing with other people, where it was founded in like addiction counseling, but has since been applied to all sorts of helping jobs, whether you're coaching, you're a medical professional, whether you're a psychiatrist or anything like that. If you're dealing with other people and trying to help them, this philosophy of motivational interviewing or concept is widely used. And essentially it is about, the way they explain it is motivational is like the act of getting someone to do something, to take an action on something. And interviewing is the style of dialogue that it is. So it's not an expert telling someone else what to do. If you imagine you going to the doctors and they're just telling you, this is what you need to do, follow my orders, blah, blah, blah. It is not that. It is an interviewer who is posing questions, and then an interviewee who is providing, say, the answers to those questions. So you as the coach would be the interviewer, and the motivational interviewing is asking questions that will elicit the change in the interviewee or the client. So this whole philosophy of asking questions and listening to the client themselves, because while you may see yourself as the expert or the coach or the person who has all the answers, the individual that you're working with is the expert of their own life. And that's something that really resonates with me, is it has to be a collaboration. It has to be meeting halfway, because If not, it's a one-way street. You're not taking on board all of the wealth of information that this person has about themselves, their beliefs, their desires, their goals, and you're completely ignoring that. You're missing that whole half of the equation. So this really relates to myself when I was doing like personal training, because you'd be working with like just mums and dads and regular people who are not powerlifters and super motivated to train 6 days a week and spend 3 hours in the gym every single day. They're people who just want to be like a little bit fitter, a little bit healthier. If you tell someone who is getting takeaway 5 nights a week, or they're sleeping 4 hours a week, or 4 hours
4
a
hours
night,
a week.
4 hours a week is crazy, 4 hours a night. If you just tell them, oh, you need to sleep 8 hours and you need to eat like fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. Oh, if it was that easy, no one in the world would be overweight, or no one would have any problems.
Yeah.
It's not an information issue. So meeting that individual where they are, asking them questions to find out about themselves, find out about their past experiences, find out about their beliefs, their limiting beliefs, all of these sorts of things. The ideas that they have of next steps that they could take to get closer to their objective or goal. If they have the autonomy themselves, that they believe they've come to the decision rather than just being told a lecture of this is what you need to do. And then you, on the coach, if you have done that and you've gone, I've told them all the info that they need, they just don't listen, what is it? That's, you're setting yourself up for failure, you're setting the client up for failure. It's just not how it works. So asking more questions, listening empathetically, like actually really taking on board what the person is saying. And then 20% is that expert role of providing specific advice or information that is relevant to them and that they have somewhat asked for. So not presenting all of the solutions to someone, getting them to give their input. And if they're stuck and if they don't know a next step, you can ask them, would you like me to provide some suggestions? And then based on the suggestions I've provided, what sounds like it would be most actionable for you? That whole philosophy, that has been like transformative for my coaching. So trying to avoid that, they call it the fixer instinct of I'm the expert, I know the answers, viewing a person almost as a machine that I identify the problem that they have. I know the answer, I know the solution, I'm going to tell them what to do, and that is my job done. That's everything, which is definitely not the case. So removing that fixer instinct of when you identify the issue with someone, trying to lead them to find the solution themselves. You're guiding them, you're supporting them along that journey rather than just providing the answers. Because what you'll often find is if you just provide the answers, the person will then find all of the reasons why that won't apply to them. And it also avoids a situation, if you're not, again, just providing the answers, where you provide something that is just not applicable to them. If you haven't done the necessary work beforehand to get all of the information from them, you could be providing solutions that there's no chance that they're ever going to do. So yeah, I'd say that whole philosophy, 80% asking questions and listening, 20% talking yourself and giving advice. And to be honest, applying that to almost all relationships, even outside
it expands way beyond coaching. It's kind of, I'm finding it hard to think of a relationship where there requires there to be more than 80%, 20% in terms of 80% understanding, because even, okay, interpersonal relationships, romantic, friendly, familial, maybe professional, occupational relationships, obviously therapeutic relationships from like a psychology perspective, maybe in the case, which isn't even it's barely a relationship where, like, you know, say you're a surgeon treating like a structural issue in like an objective part of the leg.
Man, even in this is, maybe I'm going to butcher this story again. They actually used that reference of a surgeon or a doctor doing something like that as it's still being necessary to conduct this process. I think they were talking about testicular cancer. And the doctor in question was finding that when I just told people information, I wasn't taking on board all of the like concerns that they had, what route they would rather go. Where I think it was prostate cancer, actually, correction there, that a lot of times it would be possible to not have to go through surgery, that just like observing it and monitoring it, that would be sufficient, because for whatever reason with prostate cancer, the way that it progresses, oftentimes surgery isn't necessary. But without taking on board what the patient themselves values most, would they rather the absolute certainty, quote unquote, because I don't know if any of that is certain, of a specific outcome, or would they rather not have that intrusion on their quality of life by having to go through surgery, and they would rather just monitor it and like just see how it goes and see if it is getting worse to the point that it would be required. If he just told people what he recommended, he missed that whole part of they are the expert of their own lives, and they will know what is most relevant to them.
Very true.
So yeah, in almost all relationships, it's crazy.
It's hard to, and it's like, what's important to maybe preface as well is you're not saying that you can only be like 20% of the expert you want to be. In the 20%, that's where you're expert.
You're cooking.
That's why experts exist. That's why we're not saying, you know, let the client coach themselves. That's not it. It's not that they do 80% of the coaching process. It's that the relationship, or in order to be the 100% expert, you need the communication to be 80%. Understanding of them and empathizing with them and trying to understand how they perceive the world and exist in the life that they have, so that then you can run that through your expert filter and see what you come up with to adhere to those parameters that they gave you, but you don't know their parameters at all.
Yeah. So that's been really, really useful, and I find it fascinating being aware of that now and reflecting on previous experiences that I've had, or even when I was the coach, when I was first starting out personal training, and I didn't know that much. There's so many things that I wish I could go back and handle differently now that I'm more experienced. And then vice versa, when I was the client working with someone else, or again, beyond a client-coach relationship, any sort of relationship, going back and analyzing it, or then observing other relationships that you see, having that rule at the forefront of my mind has been transformative.
I like that. I like that. That's a big one. And again, though you may not have them in a particular order, if we didn't go on and just took the two that we've covered so far, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good if you just do your best. And you understand that in order to interact with anyone meaningfully, you have to understand them first. Then you're doing pretty good. Oh God. Okay.
Here we go.
I'll just go for it. Okay. Go all in. Full stop.
Oof.
Okay. So this one I had to have after always do your best, because this one may come with more prefaces, perhaps. However, how I apply it or understand it in my life feels like I don't need to preface it to myself. I'm tempted to just read out the bullet points that I have, and then maybe I'll read them out and then go back if I didn't make sense on something. I haven't proofread this. I was typing last night after dinner while sat with my family, so these may overlap again, okay? And if it sounds stupid halfway through, I'll just stop. So this one I've heard elsewhere, and is to be taken with a grain of salt. As with all of these, the context matters and there are exceptions. I love going all in. When I do things half-heartedly, I get half-hearted results and end up spending the leftover energy on meaningless objectives. Going all in means to be investing everything you believe you can into a task in order to optimize the outcome. For me, that's in academic settings, putting in the extensive hours to complete things on time, or to meet deadlines, complete things to high quality, not succumbing to the workload and submitting half-hearted work. It's big for me in training and nutrition and sleep. I find when I have one foot out the door with training intent, the foot I still have in the door hates the experience. When I want an outcome from a task, I prefer going all in to guarantee I'm doing my best. So it kind of comes after the always doing your best. It's like going all in facilitates making sure you're doing your best. Because when I'm kind of halfway in, I can't do my best because I know I can still give more. Sometimes going all in actually translates to actually not going in at all and being patient and listening to more logical and rational approaches. It does come with an emotional tie. And this is maybe where I broke it apart into its own thing. It is more than doing my best because it involves me going emotionally in and caring. Investing emotional energy can take its toll, so I do choose carefully what it is I'm going all in on. But when you do find what you can go all in on, life is lovely. I love going all in. Training is more enjoyable and the outcomes are sweeter. Academics, people, everything. Going all in is being emotional. It risks you feeling frustrated or angry, worried or anxious, because these emotions allow for the highs, the joy and excitement and love. love is what life is for.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah, I knew I
That
typed it
was
for a reason.
hitter. That was a hitter.
The start of it, I was thinking,
Yeah.
and then I was like,
getting
wait,
getting there.
that's what the difference
Man,
is.
you were turning the tap on.
Yeah, I was
you were
turning
turning the tap on, and it was
The
coming
shit
out,
was
and
running,
then
and then
that's
clear
cleared.
crystal water.
Man, you were flying the plane, and then you landed that
fucking
shit.
landed that
Man,
shit.
you landed that.
Because at first I didn't know why it was going all in mattered at all.
Yeah.
Because is it just doing your best? Then it's just the rule before.
Yeah.
It's like, not really. Doing your best is pretty objective. You know, you can look at what you did for a day and almost compare it to a meter of effort that you had to give. As long as it matches, it matches. Whereas going all in actually brings in an emotional spectrum as well, I think.
Yeah.
So for me, going all in is investing my intent, my care, my desire, my stress, my worries, my fears.
Yeah.
Because they do come hand in hand. I can't be super excited for something and not be let down if it doesn't happen. But being excited for something facilitates me doing my best in that thing.
Yeah.
It varies across tasks, you know. I'm not going to cry and weep over, you know, the words I ended up with on my deadline. You know, it's that's not that. But I thought about it. I was like, going all in maybe on a friendship instead of being not caring about the outcome. Caring about the outcome facilitates the outcome actually being enjoyable and loving it.
Yeah.
And that, when I said love is what life is about, is I feel like love is like the it encapsulates all the higher level emotions of being a human. It's just like love is just like all of that. Is being frustrated and stressed, is being so excited and joyful and understanding complex interactions between people and things. So
Oh, that was a hitter. And that feels very relevant to me at the moment, because only the other day I was having a conversation with one of my lifters where they were exploring some ambivalence of being like pulled in a couple different directions, where extremely talented lifter, like tons of potential, has the potential to make the national team and whatnot, but was going through like a little bit of a rough patch with training, stress with exams and other things outside of the gym, and then was having some thoughts of, maybe I'd like to do some other things regarding my fitness. Maybe I'd like to start a bit of jiu-jitsu. Maybe I'd like to, he actually said he wants to do a triathlon. His dad does triathlons and Ironmans and stuff of that nature. So he was like, I think I would like to do that. And I was like, this is a necessary thing to explore. If we leave this like kind of unexamined, you have all like this storm going on in your mind. Do I want to do powerlifting? You have like this guilt when you're doing powerlifting that I kind of want to do these other things and I can't do these other things because of powerlifting. I'm tied into it. So I was like, let's just talk through it. Like, tell me all of the things that you would like to do. What are the other avenues that you would potentially like to explore? What are the avenues that you would like to explore within powerlifting? Why would you like to do these things and not? And the intent or the purpose with this was to try create a bit of that clarity, to create a bit of that like intentionality, is that even a word? Of, okay, in this short period of time, I would like to go all in on one of these tasks. Because if you leave it unexplored, again, you're half in, half out, and you don't enjoy the experience. You are, yeah, you're caught in this middle ground that is, it's kind of a bit of a mess. So yeah, I really like that. Investing your emotions into it, trying to make it very clear that I'm gonna double down or I'm gonna put all of my effort and emotions into this one task. Yeah, I like that. That's great.
there is a balance to be struck somewhere, because I remember it came up and I'd like to refresh it with him and I won't incriminate him.
Yeah.
But Adam, in some regards, said, I think I pointed out how I'd rather go all in. And he said, maybe that's not the best here. It was something to do with cutting or bulking. I think I was saying, I either want to end up at 90 or I start bulking right now. And this was before my cut was finished.
Yeah.
And I think he was right. I think at the time he was saying, look, if you can just stick out decent training to a decent point of a cut, you'll be in a better position than you are now to do either, right? Because right now you're acting on impulse to avoid a tricky situation for a sustained period of time. Where I was saying I'd rather skip and forget about my powerlifting performance and just go all in till I'm shredded, or I want to go all in and be super strong and not worry about how I look. And so he maybe, what that took was, here it is. You need to know what you're going all in on. You need to have some pretty specific parameters, perhaps. Because even then, as I was saying all that stuff, I was like, well, some relationships, you end up going all in and actually ended up being the wrong choice or the wrong person, the wrong context or whatever. So maybe a little bit of thinking. Relationships maybe get a little bit complex because like romance and love then blinds some logic and reason. But having some set up strict parameters to act within and to go all in within, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. I liked the opening yourself up to frustration and being upset.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Maybe that could be its
Although,
own thing in and of itself.
Yeah.
Is just it's okay to feel the negative emotions that us as humans feel.
That's a big one.
You don't need to avoid them.
Ooh,
What did
that's a big one.
a great episode of a podcast I listened to this year was Chris Bumstead on
Yeah.
Modern Wisdom, and he seems to be the epitome of representation of a top tier athlete. And I think he said, I can't remember the specific line, but it was something along the lines of, you're not supposed to feel amazing all the time. That's because amazing only exists because really bad exists as well, because shite exists.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't be amazing if you didn't feel shite, because they only exist because of the contrast from one another.
Yeah.
And so trying to run away from your emotions. Oh, I forgot to write this one down.
Yeah. I had a couple that came to me that.
Okay, well,
Man, I think this is. I think we're gonna have to
gonna
do
have to do
a part two.
2.
Yeah.
Damn, yeah, we are. What time is it?
We're looking at 25.
That's okay.
Yeah.
The running away from the very human emotions, which are the negative emotions we're talking about.
Yeah.
A, doesn't make sense because we can't truly have the positive emotions without having experienced the negative ones.
Yeah.
But B, I think when I reflect back on this year alone, where I felt both ends of the emotional spectrum, is the only true way to actually get out of the negative emotions is to feel them in the first place, because they exist. They do exist, and you're feeling them for a reason. If they're being inflated, feeling them and thinking through it and feeling it through, you'll get to the end faster, because your brain will find a reason why they're being inflated. And then if they're rational, if they're there for a reason, then they're there for a reason, and you need to just feel them out. And I think when you try to run away from them, one of two things happens. You avoid them for a little bit, kind of put a plaster on it.
Delay it.
Or like put the monster under the rug, but the monster grows when it's under the rug, right? So you can't see it for a little bit, but then it's a bigger monster to fight with. Or yeah, you delay it and it just comes back around. Or they don't go away at all and it just extends how long you have them for.
Damn, that was a hitter in and of itself, brother.
What do you
That was
think?
a hitter. Oh man, I agree with everything that you said there. Yeah, those bangers. Those bangers on bangers.
Let's bang, keep going.
Yeah. Okay, so one that came to mind that I didn't write down when we were kind of talking about having a clear intention of what you would like to go all in on rather than the ambivalence of all these like competing desires was the idea of like periodizing your life. And shout out to Listis, this was one that I got from her.
I know you probably don't know who she is, but we'll tag her or something.
This was very helpful for me this past year leading into the final junior competitions, where particularly being self-employed, I think, but I believe that it would be like applicable to everyone, but very much so when you're self-employed, because you create your own schedule, you're running your own business, you are entirely responsible for the growth, responsible for all the marketing, the running of the business, then all the other extracurricular things that I have going on, like powerlifting, competing itself, relationships, whatnot, the podcast. I have 100 things that I have going on, and obviously it would be amazing if the slider of effort for all these things could be at 100% all the time. And sometimes you can try and do it, but it is impossible. That's how you end up getting burnt out. You have the sliders in the red zone across too many different areas, and you just cannot sustain it. Like, you can't keep up that workload or that amount of effort. So this idea from Listis was similar to like block periodization in training, of take a phase of 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, where you essentially double down or go all in on one area. You can keep the sliders of the other tasks that you have at the maintenance level, so you're still ticking along, but you want to express the most amount of growth in this one facet. So for myself, leading into the final junior competitions, I kept the growth and the marketing and the social media side of things. I couldn't devote the amount of energy and effort and attention to them. So I brought those sliders down to maintenance level, and I doubled down and I went all in on my training, my nutrition, my sleep, all of those things around the competition itself. And I did that for a number of months leading into those comps. When those comps were over, the roles switched, and I went all in on the business side of things, growing the business, getting back on social media, posting again, and being okay with that, because I would have had this feeling of guilt and stress and unease when I would want to have the sliders all at 100, and it wasn't possible. And then when I couldn't sustain it, I would be beating myself up and judging myself that I'm not good enough because I'm not able to sustain this output, rather than acknowledging that, brother, you're only human. Like, you can only do so much work. You only have so much energy and mental capacity to give. There's only so much time in the day. I would often have been having this guilt that I didn't get whatever was left on my to-do list done, even though I did my very best and I gave all the effort that I had to give. So acknowledging that, and rather than trying to have everything at 100 and end up burning myself out, periodizing it and saying, okay, in this block, this is what is most important. I'm going to put this at the forefront, and I'm going to accept perhaps a maintenance level of growth with the other tasks that I have. And yeah, that was something that was super, super helpful for myself. Gave me a lot of peace of mind and clarity of mind, I would say. Yeah.
I understand this idea through kind of like energy levels, capacity, you mentioned there, it's a good word, and even started to begin understanding it through the lens of like training fatigue and things like that, where we know there's X amount of training fatigue that we can handle, stress that we can incur while in pursuit of adaptations, which is what we do in life. And when I started to kind of look into that jar of capacity for like mental capacity, cognitive capacity is a whole different thing that I like read on and work on or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about envisioning your mental capacity over X amount of time as this jar or bottle or pint or mug that says I'm gay. I'm not even say it anymore.
And anyone who's on Spotify is like, what?
What are they talking about? So envisioning your mental capacity over X period of time as a finite container of liquid, of water.
Yeah.
And as we know, as we go about training, we do recover this water. And the whole balance over a block is that you are essentially probably going to take more fatigue, so take more water out of the jar than you can fill it back up with. But you're never not filling it back up. That's just life. You are constantly rejuvenating your energy, hopefully as optimally as possible with your sleep, your nutrition, your mental state, everything like this. But you're filling it back up, and you're probably looking to take as much out of it as you can to make the adaptations. Same thing happens with your brain and with all the things you have to do. I love that slider thing where you want all of them to be at 100, and you could for a very short period of time put them all to 100, but then your jar is empty. And then while they're still all up at 100, all the sliders, you're not filling that shit back up, and you're taking from it. So you're just starting to break the glass, and that hurts. So physically, that looks like aches, pains, injuries at the most severe degree. Lack of interest, lack of desire. Mentally, that just looks like you cannot possibly do anything. You're literally sleepy, you're tired, you can't concentrate, you can't function cognitively, you don't want to do these things, and no one wants to exist like that.
Overwhelmed. Yeah,
Stress, overwhelmed. So the periodization allows you to decide how you're going to distribute your glass of water every day, every week, and every month in that periodization cycle, and you just like adjust how much you're taking out for, like you did, training, nutrition, sleep. He was making more sacrifices for those, and what little was left of the water was enough to maintain your business, your social media, relationships, etc. And then when you flick that switch, all you did was, okay, I'm going to give more to the business, social media, relationships, and enough of the water is left to maintain training, strength, nutrition deficit, whatever was needed, and perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
I love that. I love that idea. It's been so helpful, so useful. Do you remember being in school? Would you ever see those like, I don't even know if you call it a meme back then, but it's like, how am I supposed to balance doing homework and going to school and doing sports and relationships and spending time with my family? Blah, blah.
Maybe you don't.
Yeah.
Like,
You got to periodize it, brother.
yeah, periodization. I think balance was pushed there for a few years, where like a balanced life was much better than being the best athlete or the best this, the best that. Being the best athlete isn't a balanced life, but maybe what balance actually is understanding. It's not having
Over
the
the
seesaw always
longer
like this.
time horizon.
Is that the seesaw is in a balanced way going like this. So sure, if your seesaw is always like this, then we could argue you're not living a balanced life, and maybe there is something to that, because maybe you're not going to be completely happy, because whatever is not balanced is kind of you're going to start feeling the deficit of. Whereas if it doesn't have to be like this all the time, it doesn't have to be level.
What time horizon are you looking at as well? On a day, Like maybe like trying to fit in, trying to have a balanced life over one
man.
day.
No, man.
Impossible.
No.
How are you gonna do all your training, see all your friends, do
You're
all
not.
the have time for your family, do all your homework in one day? Impossible. So maybe it's the case where you do like you look at it over the scale of weeks, or you look at it over the scale of months. Maybe you look at it over the scale of years. Maybe you have 5 to 10 years where you're prioritizing being an athlete or whatever, and then you have 70, hopefully maybe more years of looking after your family and friends and all of those other things in your career. Obviously that split is not going to be exactly what it is, but that idea, look over the long time horizon, and if it's relatively balanced, and balance is even perhaps like subjective of what the individual thinks
Oh,
it
it absolutely is.
if it is relatively balanced for what you deem acceptable and you're happy with, you're cruising.
If you were to put down an A4 page and write down all the things that matter to you, all the things that you want from them, and then as long as you're achieving all of those things over, let's say, a 6 to 12 month period, your life is balanced. Sometimes that might look like 4 months all in on athleticism and 3 things get knocked down the list. Sometimes that might look like athleticism comes down to number 3, 2 things overtake it, and that's on. That's a good balance to me.
Yeah, I like that.
So do I.
Hit us with another.
This one's more specific.
Oof.
And it's at me, but I feel like if this resonates with you, then it's for you as well. Drink less alcohol.
Yeah.
It's straightforward, it's simple. I don't even need to get into it.
Yeah.
Drink less alcohol. I've never drank that much alcohol. I've always drank more than you did.
Yeah.
But in recent years, I've gotten closer to a friend named Sean who has never drank at all. And this was a completely foreign concept to me. I'd heard a couple athletes that we knew. I think Richmond, maybe others that we'd encountered. Probably way more now.
Yeah,
Antonio.
He, for a while.
I've never drank alcohol. And to me, that was crazy. And maybe that's an
I
Irish
remember when we
thing.
heard that, we were like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're so good. But even then, like, we would not have drank a lot.
Wouldn't have drank a lot.
To have never
drank was crazy.
Foreign concept.
And now that I've kind of gotten close to this guy and he's in my life, is like, it's not that big a deal. It's like, you know that old saying of like the 5 people you surround yourself by, you're the product of the 5 people you surround yourself by the most. And I've said it on the podcast that I used to think I was impermeable to that. I was like, no, I'm my own person. It's like, regardless of who I'm talking to. It's like, no, it's like it influences your perception so much. And growing up in a culture where everyone drinks pretty often.
Yeah.
And I'd say the baseline, the mean average is too much alcohol for your own health, for your like physiological and probably mental health. It's probably in excess of a healthy amount of alcohol. If you took 100 people from any area in Ireland, it's probably that.
Yeah.
And then on one end, there's obviously the extremely unhealthy where they're dying from liver poisoning from alcohol intoxication. And what is it? There's like a memory deficit you can get from like a vitamin B deficiency from drinking too much alcohol. Then on the other end, there's people like Sean who don't drink at all. And so I sat down after a while of like playing with the idea and I was like, how little could I drink? It was probably not very much at all. I think the source of my intent or desire to drink was primarily external and shallow in that I just wanted to be doing something that other people were doing. Whereas I feel like I'm firmly established in my head and my identity and my self-image of who I am without needing to drink frequently. Do I still drink? Yeah. So I'm not saying I'm, what's the word, abstinent?
Yeah.
I'm not abstinent. I do engage with alcohol, but it's so seldom now, and I feel so much better because of it. And it's
Wait, is abstinence just to do with sex, or is it to do with something? I don't want to leave that go because I said yeah. I actually don't know. I presume that is what it means though.
It might be both.
Yeah.
It might be like hedonic behaviors.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah, I'm abstinent then, regardless. So, yeah, I don't think a lot of people really consider how little they actually need alcohol, and they just lean on it, unbeknownst to themselves, because they don't really sit down and think about it, or B, it's a bit of a crutch or a social vice or an excuse to meet up. Man, you don't have to drink when
if you
go.
are going out with people who drink.
You don't have to drink when you go. So I've done that a lot of times now, is just going to an event and just having water. No one cares. And if they do care that you're not drinking, they they're not your friend,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it's probably a projection of more so something that's
Most
going on
definitely a
within them
projection
than
of
anything
their
that you're doing.
realization that you are
Yeah.
capable of not drinking and they're 6 pints in. And then 2 is you don't have to go either.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Some circumstances come up where you know you have to go for who you are and for your life. Go. And if you want to drink, drink. I'm not saying you can't drink.
No.
This rule is drink less, because I've come to the point now where I can be so selective with when I drink. I was trying to figure out, why is it that I don't like drinking when everyone else seems to love drinking? Is there, like, what is it with me? Am I dealing with an issue about alcohol or about related behaviors that I don't want to face? And I was really reflecting on it. And I think it's more so that I more than others, am just perhaps obsessively concerned with my day-to-day, say, athletic performance and the effect it has. Not everyone has to have that obsession. That's completely fine. It's just I do. I'm very concerned about how I perform on Tuesday on this week 3 set of squats, and it's Saturday. That's okay.
Yeah.
And so if it makes me more fulfilled to either go and not drink or not go at all, as long as I'm ticking the other boxes that we're saying to tick, do your best with your social commitments, your relationships. If you want to see your friends, go. You don't have to drink.
Yeah. I would co-sign that. I think that is why I don't drink a lot. I would say I drink less than a handful of times in the year.
Probably 3 times I'd say you drink.
Yeah, after a competition. The one night after a competition. That's the only time, really.
And he wasn't even going to drink after the last competition. And if you ended up having a bad day, you were not drunk. We were in his bedroom just sulking.
Yeah, after European Championships, if I didn't get that last pull, I was booking the next flight home.
Yeah. Me and Alan, I just like sat in the lobby having a glass of wine. He was like on his way home.
But yeah, and I think that is because I am quite obsessive with wanting to perform very well, perform at a high standard. I do care how I feel on a random day of a random week, because I want to maximize my performance and whatnot. I, in general, most of the time would dislike the feeling of being sluggish and hungover and impaired, like physically or cognitively, more than I would enjoy the experience of like being drunk or having fun. Again, as you mentioned, you can do all that without drinking. So yeah, I would co-sign that. Yeah.
I already know someone's going to see me drinking.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not about not drinking.
Yeah, I'm not saying you don't have to drink. I'm just saying challenge yourself to drink less.
Yeah. Okay. This is a good one, and it's a really short one, hopefully.
How many more do you have left?
Oh, probably 1 billion. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to see?
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do part 2. Andrew has to go to work in half an hour, so we will get as many as we can through.
How about you do 2 right now?
Okay.
Because I don't have that anymore.
Okay, I'll go through a couple. So this one, do today's dishes today. Okay. What does this mean, Andrew? Well, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. So the concept is, imagine you had all of the dirty dishes that you will have to clean for the rest of your life piled up in front of you. Right now, man, it would fill the whole house. Like until the day you're gone, all of the dishes that you're gonna have to clean for the rest of your days. Imagine that. Oh my God, that would be so overwhelming. That would be horrific. You'd be so stressed out looking at all of the dirty dishes that you have ahead of you. But they're not dirty yet, brother. They're not dirty yet. You have 2 dishes in there that you gotta clean today that are relevant to you today. Clean today's dishes today, and don't worry about all those dishes that are coming in the future. Clean those dishes when it's relevant to clean those dishes, when they're dirty. Don't go stressing yourself about dishes that aren't dirty yet. Don't clean today's dishes today, okay? Stop concerning yourself with all that might happen in the future that isn't real yet. Another great one that I heard is, worry is putting down payment on a problem that you may never have. Oh, come on! Oh, come on, man. That's a banger, isn't it? Worry is putting a down payment on a problem that you may never have. That's dumb. If I asked
That's fucking dumb.
If I asked you to give me €500 for a product that you're never going to own, nuh-uh. Yeah.
Some people do that.
It's not happening, like, yeah.
Wow.
So, clean today's dishes today. That one is
really
so good. Yeah. I love that one. Don't think about all of the potential problems or even the guaranteed problems that you're going to have. Cross that bridge when you come to it, brother. Clean today's dishes today.
And
Love it.
often the fear of the problem, quote unquote problem, or a circumstance that might come up is way larger than what you're actually going to have to deal with anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another one that kind of piggybacks on that, which is a great one I heard from Ben Crockwell, was action alleviates anxiety. When you do have a task in front of you, it's more often than not the worry about having to do the task or the stress of having to do the task.
Or if you don't get the task done. When you're actually doing
more
it.
so than that. And then you're wasting all this time not actually doing the task.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with my younger sister.
Yeah.
I think she was 13, 14 at the time, where she was like so stressed out. She had this test coming up, and it was like 9 p.m. at night, and she had this thing that was going to be the next day. And she was like, there's just not enough time in the day. I can't do it. And I was like, what did you do when you came home? I go back in and I was just stressed about the test. I couldn't study because I was so stressed. So she spent 6 hours stressing about how difficult it was going to be to prepare for the test, not preparing for the test.
It's a horrible feeling, man.
And then I was like, oh, well, we explored what could have been done within those 6 hours, that the stress of it was so much worse than actually it would have been just doing whatever preparations were needed. And now, obviously, it's so much easier to say that when you're removed from it. And then we actually got into, again, asking, would you like some advice of how I get myself to do things that are quite hard? And maybe this is an extra one that we can throw in. Is breaking things down to the smallest possible actionable step that you can take. So looking at the step in front of you rather than the whole staircase. So how this would relate to me is when I had the home gym and I was training out in the cold and it's like -2 degrees outside and I have to do a secondary squat, which I really don't want to do. I would much rather sit inside on a warm, cozy couch and scroll Instagram Reels. How would I get myself to do it? Is I would break down the session into the smallest part that I could actually get myself to commit to. So could I go out and could I just squat 1 plate? Could I squat 70 kilos? And if I don't want to do it after I've squatted 70 kilos, then I can leave the session and come back inside. There was never one time in my life that I went out, I squatted 70 kilos and I left it there. Because once you have overcome the initial activation energy required to start the task, which is the hardest bit, it's so much easier thereafter. So break it down into the smallest step. Look at the step in front of you rather than the whole staircase. Get yourself to commit to that. Lower the activation energy required. And then once you have the ball rolling, momentum will take care of the rest. It's like the action comes before the motivation rather than motivation needs to take you to take the action.
This is the only way to do complex tasks.
Yeah.
It's the only way to complete large, complex tasks. Maybe we take for granted that when we head into the gym on a primary day, you've got primary this, secondary that, 10 accessories and fucking booty blasts or whatever. Maybe we take for granted that we don't need to break that down in our heads. We're just going to do it. But when I'm going into another assignment, I'm already tired and it's 3,000 words on a complex, broad topic that I haven't knuckled down yet. I'm like, no way can I do that tonight. No way. Oh my God. The activation energy, all I need to do is sit down, read the title and give it 30 minutes. If I can go 30 minutes, put my phone off for 30 minutes and try to understand something for 30 minutes and I still don't want to do it after that, I can pack my bag and leave.
Hell yeah.
I never pack my bag and leave. Because once you've done 30 minutes, not only did it take little to no activation energy, but now you've a bit of momentum and now you're on the upper hand.
Yeah.
You're winning.
Yeah. Oh, I love that one.
Man, something I heard this year,
Yeah.
which I love, it takes no time to talk about,
Yeah.
but bet on yourself because you're 23 years to nil.
Oh, I like that.
Based on all the days that you've already got through, tomorrow is actually, the odds are in your favor. The odds are in your favor.
Yeah.
365 by 23.
Yeah.
Man, I'm definitely getting tomorrow done.
You've been cooking.
I'm definitely getting tomorrow done.
Hell yeah.
One day is in your favor.
Yeah. This is one, and it's actually, I'm glad I get to talk about it now because it relates to the previous podcast. I think, therefore I am. Okay? I was using that erroneously. Is that the right word?
That sounds weird.
Yeah, I was conflating it with another idea, and to be honest, I'm pissed because I think they're the same thing. So, I think therefore I am. What I was conflating that with is, I can't remember where I heard it, but I'm gonna
Go on.
I was conflating it with, I think it's from the Bible, but what I heard is it's from another book. So it's as a man thinketh, so he becomes, or something along those lines. And then I think from the Bible, it's like, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Okay? So as someone like thinks, that is the reality that is around them. Fucking I think, therefore I am. That's the same shit, brother. But apparently, I think, therefore I am. Who
What
was
is there an argument that they were first?
So I think, therefore I am is supposedly from, what's his name? No, it's from like
Jamie, pull it up.
yeah, Des.
Descartes.
Yeah, yeah. I think so.
I think
Look,
therefore I am. Give me a name.
Descartes or something. Descartes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
From Descartes.
It's spelled Descartes.
From Descartes. That's the guy who said, I think, therefore I am. And apparently he was talking about consciousness and not knowing if everything around us is real, but it requires a conscious mind to think, and he knows he's thinking, so that he knows he is real.
Yeah, that is its origin. Yeah.
So that is the origin of that. But I think how I was using it is just a extension from that.
Yeah.
Of, okay, if it requires a conscious mind, what is going on in my conscious mind is my reality then. If this is the only thing that I know is absolutely real, that is the reality that I live in. So if I'm thinking it in my mind, if I think therefore I am is like this is, I know I'm real because I'm thinking it, then it is real because I'm thinking it.
Yeah.
So I think as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That I'm going to use, I think, therefore I am, in that context,
Yes.
even though that is not the actual context. That
I'm never saying think it. So
exactly. There's no way of
stick it
saying
to I think therefore I am.
I think therefore I am. Because there might have been someone listening to me say that, and they're like, this guy doesn't even know he's using Descartes wrong. But yeah, I think it's the same stuff. And to be honest, like, I think therefore I am from Descartes, or whatever his name is. That was just a thought he had. So I had an extra thought. So who says his thought is more valuable than my thought? So I'm using his thought and I'm changing what your thought meant with my thought, okay? And I think therefore I am, so that's the right fucking use for it for me, okay? But yeah, I wanted to go back. I doubt anyone listening was like, that's the wrong use case. But
now they are. Yeah.
I was looking it up afterwards, and now, yeah. But to me, it's not the wrong use case, it's the right use case. And going forward, I'm going to keep saying it, and it's going to mean what I think it means, and that's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
But that bridges onto a whole wider topic. How much time do we have? Okay, we kind of do. About, in general, like the power of the mind. And this could go in so many like different directions, but that belief, and I took down a load of notes, and I'm going to have to read through them
Cool.
to try to be able to put it all together. One of them, okay, I have this journal that I write in every morning to like plan my day ahead, and it's really good because it has different like sections, and it like prompts you how to structure your day, like all the tasks you need to do, and then order them in the to-do list of what you need to get done as a priority first and whatnot, and then like the main tasks you need to get done for the day and top 3 and so on and so forth. But they have a little like quote at the top of each day, and I love them. They're just like little prompts, little like positive things. But one of them is, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts, from Marcus Aurelius. Okay, that's a banger. Again, it's as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Like, it's what's going on up here is determining the whole reality around you, and that's a really like fascinating concept for myself. It's something, and I think you could like dig into it and explore it forever. It's not something that there's necessarily like answers to, but trying to come to terms and grasp what is actually going on upstairs, and try to, I don't know, steer it in a direction that is going to be constructive and positive, rather than something that is going to limit myself or hinder myself, because what is going on up here will determine how you like actualize things into, again, reality that you're living in. If you have the attitude that it is going to be a great day, it usually is. Again, the same premise of like what is going on. What you're thinking up here is so powerful as to what is actually going to be going on around you. Another one, whether you think you can or you think you cannot, you're right. Banger. Your focus determines your reality. So these are all, like, I just flicked through the whole journal, and there was even more of them that were coming up, but they were just a bit too like woo and out there, and I was like, okay, I'll just take the ones that are like very everyone can kind of get on board with. But that whole concept, and we chatted to Adam a little bit about it, how that influences pain. So fascinating to me, like the biopsychosocial model, all of that kind of stuff. What is going on up here, influencing like actual manifestations of pain. The placebo effect, crazy. Like that's just that concept and that idea to me is something that I like digging into and I like exploring and I try to harness or structure in a way that will be most useful or beneficial to myself. Try to think thoughts that are going to be good for me rather than thinking thoughts that are going to be harmful for me. And try to take a little bit of control. Try to take a bit of ownership for what's going on in my head.
Like that.
That's been a powerful or a useful concept or idea for myself this year, and I've been trying to push it. And then we can go real out there with like the law of attraction and manifesting and stuff like that. But we'll touch on that at a separate point. I'll let you.
I think we will have to because you've been texting me.
Man, we're cooking.
Multiple times a day. He's just like, man, this fucking book.
Man, the law of attraction has been cooking in 2025. And it's fucking 5 days in, man.
We're 5 days in.
It's been cooking.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you. And I'm excited to get to that book.
Yeah.
I just have like 1 million in my wish list,
Yeah.
as recommended by you. I'm in love with everything you're saying.
Can I jump on again?
Absolutely.
That's another one. Books. That's a hack from 2024. Who was hiding books all this time? Who was hiding books? How come no one told me about books, man? I'm pissed.
The oldest thing known to man. The first way we found out how to communicate to one another.
Who was holding out on books all this time, man? Books are the biggest hack of 2024.
Yeah.
And to go a step further, I have friends that they like reading books. Personally, I'm an Audible man. I love the audiobooks more so than reading.
You can't read.
Yeah, true.
So audio helps a lot.
I find I can just consume so much more information more efficiently, more effectively than reading. I find I get so distracted reading, and I don't know if it is the like ADHD fucking world that we live in, or if it is something in my brain where it's so much slower. I find it harder to engage with it. And maybe that can be good in certain instances because it makes you dwell on the topics for a little bit longer. But I will often read a couple lines and my mind will be thinking about something else. And then I'll be like, I can't even remember what the 2 lines said. I had to go read it again. And
I predict you could train yourself to get better at that, and you might even be better at it right now after having consumed so much books. So you actually place way more value. So the effort you're putting in to stick to it will be. Because I've experienced the exact same thing in recent years. I don't know who's been keeping books, man.
But it feels like reading is a bit more of an effort. Whereas audiobooks, I put them on in the car, I put them on when I'm making breakfast, when I'm eating meals, when I'm winding down in the evening, like any sort of time I'm listening to books. So Audible, that's probably one of the biggest like hacks or positive things that I took on board in 2024. I think it's really good as well. You pay like a subscription, I think it's €12 or something for the month, and you get a credit for a book. You can buy any book with the credit.
Any book.
And then, because some books might be €30, some books might be €5, but a credit will just get you a book at that monthly subscription price. You can also pay for a year up front, so you get all your credits. I got Andrew a gift of a certain amount of credits. You can buy those for yourself. So it kind of discounted rate, so you can get a few credits up front. You can just buy the books themselves if it would be cheaper to buy a book than a credit. But I must have 50 books in my wish list that I'm like working through. I love it.
How many books are you going to get through this year?
I looked in the library of what I've gotten through, and I think I've listened to 33 books
in the last 6 months.
No, in the last 2 years.
Oh, really?
But I would say
I feel like you're on an upward.
I may get through the equivalent in 2025.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say so.
I would like to try to get through at least 12 books.
Yeah. I think I can get through some books in a week and then maybe allow a little bit more time for other books. And it may be the case that I've gone back and listened to books again, particularly useful ones. But books that's been a massive thing.
Okay, well, as a takeaway, Audible, obviously, but what books?
Okay.
Just give us 3.
Okay. 4 Agreements.
Yeah.
Crucial Conversations.
Yeah.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'd say they're hitters off the bat.
You've won me.
I'd say they're really good ones.
Cool.
But we'll record on a lot of these because they're so interesting and insightful, and maybe if you don't want to go listen to a whole book, we can talk about it for an hour and give all the relevant insight and our own anecdotes and how it applies to us and how it's been useful. And maybe that will inspire you to then go listen to a 16-hour book or something like that. But yeah, oh yeah, I love books. I love books. I've said that to you a few times. I fucking love books. I love books. Yeah, yeah. They're like mini courses on stuff that you're interested in.
Yeah.
It's like in school you have to learn about all these subjects you don't care about. It's like I have all of this wealth of information at my fingertips. I just choose what I'm interested in and I can learn about it. So good. Yeah, you're absorbing, and it's like it's not bullshit content. Sometimes it can be hard to sift through, like YouTube and things like that, where there's a lot of shit out there as well. Whereas I'm sure there's tons of shit books, but it seems as though they're a little bit more intellectual, perhaps, or there's a bit more value condensed into them. Just that format of creating a book. I think generally people put quite a lot of effort or thought. Like it takes people years to write books. Yeah, books, bangers.
Books, I agree. Later to the party than Andrew, but
You're on board.
concur.
You're on the train.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like, especially with Audible, a little bit sped up. The level of effort to what you get from it seems like disproportionate compared to a lot of things we do in life. And it's not to say that you're blindly listening. Like ideally, you're really processing what you're listening to, but the level of effort you have to go to and the cost, it's accessible price-wise for so much return, so much potential return, depending on what you're listening to and how much you care. Yeah,
Books.
definitely. It's like low-hanging fruit that you can do to not automatically, but very easily improve your kind of intellectual properties immediately.
Imagine you spent 45 minutes less scrolling a day and 45 minutes more listening to a book.
Yep.
I would imagine your quality of life might improve significantly.
So I'm down to the last page where I had like way shorter, non-typed out,
Snappy ones. Okay. Do you want to save those for part 2? You can think of more in part 2 in the meantime. Or do you want to smack out a couple? Because I'd say I still have probably 2 hours worth of talking that I could do on these other ones. Give me a snappy one.
I think I can save most of them.
Okay.
You know?
Well, I'll throw one that is like just a throwaway one. This is not a lesson. This is not a piece of advice. It's not a tip or anything, but it's just something that I experienced was getting braces.
Okay.
Getting braces was probably the most significantly beneficial thing that I've ever done for my confidence in my whole life.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk more about this. You've never really talked to me about this.
I know, yeah. So I got my braces off in March. So even when we started the podcast here, I had braces, but they were like Invisalign braces, so you couldn't see them. It was like a clear retainer that would go over your teeth and push them in the direction that you wanted them to go. And I went with them specifically because I didn't want like metal braces and try and track things.
You're soft.
Yeah.
You're soft. I went through the metal train tracks and I embrace that shit. He's soft, is what he said.
I'm a big softie. Yeah. It was definitely something that I would have been self-conscious about, for sure. And it's interesting because my teeth were always fine growing up. Like I could not have got braces. And I would say everyone else who I ever talked to for the rest of my life would be like, yeah, your teeth are fine. Your teeth are good. So I didn't need them growing up because my teeth were straight. They just grew straight. They weren't crooked or anything. But gradually when my wisdom teeth started coming through, my teeth were ever so slightly, like a little bit crooked. Particularly in the front, beside like my 2 front teeth. They were slightly crooked. And for whatever reason, I got so in my head about that. And I noticed, so I had braces I got them like halfway through 2023 or something like that. And I went through until the beginning of 2024. When I would say the first time that I could notice it would have been Junior Worlds 2023, that September. My teeth were basically straight by that point. Kind of around when we would have started the podcast. I feel as though my personality changed. Where I was so much more confident, like in smiling. Like I wouldn't have smiled before with my teeth. I was so much more confident in smiling. Do you know those videos of me from that competition in Romania?
Yeah.
Smiling. Every picture is a smile. Every video is a smile. That that shaped my personality from that point forward. smiling almost became part of my like identity. I became so confident in it. And when I was smiling more, I was a happier person. And when that just progressed over days and weeks and months. And now again it's like it's part of me to smile. Like everything going on up here, I don't think I would have been as confident to talk on camera and whatnot. And then whitening my teeth, that was another thing that was
How'd you do that?
like gels. So I would have a retainer to wear at night to keep your teeth straight, but you just put this gel into the retainer and it whitens your teeth overnight. It wasn't like professionally
Every
done or
night,
anything.
or?
I think if you do it every night, it'll probably like harm your teeth a little bit. So every other night, or maybe once or twice a week. But that significantly helped as well. It just gave me so much more confidence in myself. And I don't know if it was absolutely necessary. Could I have learned to love myself and been fine with my teeth the way that they were? Because again, there's nothing bad. It wasn't like I had crooked teeth or anything like that. But for whatever reason, it was something that so significantly, having a nice smile really boosted my confidence, I would say, in the last, particularly since getting them off in the last year. Yeah, it was probably the best thing that I ever could have done for my confidence, I would say. Yeah, crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because now I love smiling.
Yeah, you do.
And when you like, I feel like smiling is such a, and you don't need to have fucking perfect, you know, like Americans, their teeth are crazy. Why are Americans' teeth so good? They have like a different sized jaw than like European people, I think. Like they just have this like wide smile. You can see like all of their teeth to their molars. Like
Yeah.
it's such like a class, and obviously not everyone in America, but I just mean in general, like when you think of like the Hollywood smile. But there's something about that, like when dealing with people, and this is in How to Win Friends and Influence People, a smile is such a powerful, I was going to say tool, it's not like a tool, but it's such a powerful thing when dealing with other people and presenting yourself to the world. I think we talked about it before, where watching other people competing, I just resonated with people who looked like they were happy and having a good time. And how do you convey that you're happy? You're fucking smiling. You're smiling. A smile is a very powerful thing. So yeah, just having a smile that I was happy with and confident with was, yeah, it's changed my personality. It's changed the way I express myself. So yeah, doing that for myself was definitely one of the biggest things that I've ever done.
That might resonate with a lot of people, but then certainly applicable to everyone listening is to just smile. Then the importance of a smile.
Yeah, regardless.
Yeah, because it affects everyone around you,
Yeah.
and it affects you, because it is like intrinsically linked to the networks involved in being happy anyway.
Yeah.
So just smile more, allow yourself to smile. Don't inhibit a smile.
Yeah.
Always smile, always laugh. It's like, maybe it's like we got in trouble for laughing in class before, so we used to like stop laughing, laugh, smile. Life's fun. Life's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So where it's possible, do smile, definitely, because there's plenty of times we're not going to be smiling.
Yeah.
So smile as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And often.
I like that. I love that. Right. Will I bang out another, or will we wrap it up? You need to get going soon.
Could probably do with wrapping up.
Okay,
If this one's
sweet.
short, bang it out.
Nah, we'll wrap it up.
How
And then
short
we'll
is it?
do, there's fucking a million left.
Sweet.
A bit more? No, bigger.
Don't lie to the people.
Yeah, okay. That was very good. We're going to have to do part 2.
Well, luckily we're going to be back here next week, with it. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, we've so many, like we actually have an abundance of ideas for podcasts. Where before, we might have been like, oh, fuck, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah.
We have too many things to talk about.
got
You guys
too
are
many
cooked,
things.
man. You guys are done for. Like, you're going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for making it this far. Hopefully this was enjoyable and
How many more
insightful
episodes
and
till we go
valuable.
to Chef?
Oh shit, maybe
3.
next week, the week after. Like we'll get 2 more in before we go away.
We could get, it depends how many we need to get done.
Yeah.
It's the 5th,
Okay.
and we're gone on the 24th. So there is 2 weekends until we go.
Okay. Yeah.
And then...
We can get 2 or 3 in. We can get 2 or 3 in.
Alrighty.
And then we'll go to Sheffield, and then all sorts of craziness will happen.
Oh yeah. Like we said, we're gonna offer the winners to come on for a fraction of their prize money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Right. Thank you guys so much as always. Lots of love, and we will catch you in the next one for part 2.